All right, welcome everybody. I'm Hallie Walker with the Myasthenia Gravis Association. We are so excited to have you here tonight for the virtual monthly meetup. If you're new here, be sure to check out our website at www.mgassociation.org for a full list of our programs. 2 weeks from tonight, we will have a special webinar about clinical trials, complete with a panel discussion, including our own Dr. Pasmore and an individual with MG who will share her experiences. This webinar will be held in partnership with MedLive. You'll be able to sign up in the email you will receive following tonight's session. We are excited to have Sarah Jones joining us tonight with the Eosinophilic and Rare Disease Cooperative. Sarah is going to tell us all about the heat pack. If you are curious about what that is, you'll know by the time this presentation is complete. Please use the Q&A feature to submit any questions you may have for Sarah, and we'll answer them at the end. Sarah, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Feel free to take it away.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. We're so excited to share about this resource, this free resource for people. So thank you so much. You guys are wonderful partners that play well with others, which is good for all of us in the rare disease community. So thank you for that. Um, yes, we're going to talk about the heat kits. They come to you in a little package like this that's actually waterproof so you can wash it off. So it comes in a little package like this, but I'm going to dive into it with the little PowerPoint that I have, and feel free to ask questions, make comments or whatever in the chat, or I guess in the Q&A, right? It's the Q&A, not the chat. Okay, here we go. You can see my screen, right? Okay. So yeah, today we're going to just briefly talk about what the hospital emergency advocacy and treatment kit is, the heat kit. And here's a little packet that somebody put together with their heat kit, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a little later on. So the heat kit was started so I was diagnosed with a rare disease. It was actually a form of vasculitis in 2021. And yeah, that was, I think, one of my first hospital visits that you're looking at. And that was after about 52 doctor visits, I think, um, where I would talk to the doctors about how I'm feeling, and I would get the responses that I know many of you get, which are like, your labs look fine, or you just look okay. This is just your nerves. All of the different ways that I think we can easily be minimized, especially with diseases that um, can sometimes not be as visible to the providers that we are interacting with. And so finding that overall lack of understanding of this impact of the real disease and dealing with the doctor's resistance was just maddening for me. I've always run nonprofits. That's my wife, Pam. She's a medical social worker. So between the two of us, we were not new to the medical system, but found it just impossible. And we realized this was kind of happening everywhere in the rare disease space. So we have a friend with myasthenia gravis, hence our connection with myasthenia gravis. And so we decided to create actually this kit just for me to use and for Pam to use when I was in the hospital, and it's grown since then. But really, the purpose of it is to provide confidence, clarity, education, and consistency. So, for much of the heat kit, the audience and the person who we're actually directing this for is the medical provider. So, this isn't necessarily disease education, though it could be for us. And a lot of people use this for their family to help their family members and friends understand their disease. Um, but really, this is a quick way to look at things for the providers. So when you look at the heat kit, and I'm not going to go through all of these because that would just take us a long time and you'd probably check out. When you look at it, it comes with a color-coded key. And here are all of the topics that are in it. So we start with an emergency contact, key diseases that you have and complications that you experience, key providers that you need the doctors to know about. Of course, for MG, cautionary treatments. We talk about a myasthenia crisis, We talk about your common MG issues, since that can vary from person to person, as well as treatment guidelines and treatment options for people. There's a couple pages for medications to be listed. And then we have pretty extensive information about the disease itself, and that links to the NIH Rare Disease website, so that when you're showing that to the physician, it's meant to be a quick glance at for the physician or the nurse or whoever you're interacting with. But if they want to learn more, they can use the QR code and access it through the NIH Rare Disease website. There's an individualized plan for infusions, of course, allergies, registration information. You would use that when you're going to a place for the first time and they want all of that information from you. These kind of things we have found and we have heard from people have a myasthenia gravis and are dealing with a healthcare community, that this can be incredibly helpful, especially when you're having difficulty communicating and breathing and talking. This can kind of do that for you and help get you registered and help the care team get the information that they need to care for you without trying to get it from you when you're not able to. Of course, hospital and emergency history, surgical history. The MGA-ADL scale is on one side of one of these pages. On the other side, we encourage people to create their own personalized MG-ADL scale, because we know that some people don't resonate with all of the items that are on the ADL scale, but they have other ways that they track their MG and how well it's being managed. And so we want people to make this theirs and usable. It has a little medical power of attorney. It certainly does not replace the formal medical power of attorney, but at a quick glance, it is a little something that is in your handwriting. And same thing for a release of information. It has some preps for talking with the doctors, checklists when you're hospitalized, and immunocompromised alert, hospital packing list, and personal notes. And then in the end, in the back, it also has a little card holder to hold your insurance, as well as your insurance and ID card, and as well as a couple little packets to hold medications, so that you have those available if you need them in an emergency, or you're sitting in the ER for hours and you are needing medication. It's a little kind of go-to emergency medication package. So that is all that's in the little heat kit that we send you. So when you're looking at things like cautionary treatments, we don't create things from scratch. We don't, we partner, and I shouldn't say we don't create it from scratch. We don't duplicate what's out there. If there's a resource out there, we want to direct you to that resource, just like the Myasthenia Gravis Association, which is an incredible resource for people. So this QR code would take you to the MGFA, information about cautionary treatments. Here are some key cautionary treatments that come from that. But this QR code would take you to that particular website. For the myasthenia crisis, we have a couple different QR codes, and these are really education and information, especially for providers. So I'm sure many of you have seen from the Journal of Emergency Medicine the Myasthenia Gravis lessons from the emergency physician. And that is a great article if you're in the emergency room and the doctor is really struggling. This little article with this QR code right here will take them to a research article that is written for doctors about treating myasthenia gravis in the emergency room. So again, this is not meant to be, cover every last thing. This is about, I'm here for treatment. I need you to treat me. I need you to understand enough about the disease to treat me, and making sure that you have resources that you can provide to them. The Myasthenia Gravis information page, again, comes from NIH. So if the NIH Rare Disease Information Center, so if you click the QR code, it'll take you there. But this is going to have the signs and symptoms. And once again, this is doctor focused. So, some of these words may seem to not be patient friendly, but it's really not us that we're trying to target with this. We know that the physicians have really finite amount of time when we're with them. And so if we can speak their language and not have to try to translate, it's better. And it also helps with confidence, and it helps with them taking you seriously when they are able to look at these and just, read off of these and go, oh, okay, I see this could be related to your myasthenia gravis, as opposed to discounting it. Kind of going through these fast, but when you get the kit, you'll have all of this to sit down and work on. Um, we have an infusion personalized plan because, for those of you who do have an infusion, many of you do have infusions. Um, I don't know about you, but for me, I had a very specific pre-med protocol that was, they have the general one that everybody gets, but you might be somebody who needs a little bit extra Benadryl or needs a little bit extra of the steroids, whatever it might be. And so this is where you can really help them understand that. You might be somebody who, okay, usually they protocol would normally say do it at this rate for the infusion, but boy, when you do it at that rate for you, you get more infusion reactions. So you get it at a different rate of speed. You're able to put that here. This is really helpful, especially because for many of the infusion centers, if you go to a center, and even those of you who have a infusion nurse that comes to your home, um, it's a lot of times it's a different person, that you're interacting with. It's not like you have the same person each time necessarily. And because of that, if you have something really consistent to show them, that's going to help you get better treatment and a better infusion outcome and a better infusion process. The my common issues and treatments and protocols. This is where you can write down if you have, boy, I really oftentimes have difficulty with swallowing. I really have difficulty with talking. I really find that my speech gets slurred. Um, you know, Different people have different ways that this shows up in your body. And so this is a way that you can say, here's a common issue that happens to me. So this is your personalized common issue. And here's what works for me with that. So that they're not guessing and you're not trying to advocate for yourself when you actually are struggling. Down here are the Myasthenia Gravis clinical practice guidelines. So if you're seeing a new physician, a new neurologist, if you're seeing a neurologist who doesn't have a lot of experience with myasthenia gravis, this is going to be a place where they can look at to learn what the protocols are and the treatment protocols for myasthenia gravis. Now, we only include in here the things that are FDA approved. We know that for many of us with a rare disease, we have to take a lot of different medications. Many are not FDA approved for our condition. And so if that's the case, it might not be in here because we, again, focus on FDA approved so that we keep it, since we're providing advocacy, not medical advice. That said, there are wonderful FDA approved medications and treatments for MG. So, but here are the guideline QR codes that could help your provider or a nurse practitioner, physician assistant who's working with you. This is probably one of my favorite things, and we use this all the time. Here is a little picture of one time I was in the emergency room, and I would show this because you see how we took their little tape, because all of these little rooms have tape and stuff in them. We scrounged around, found the tape, and hung this on the door. We keep this with us at all times. If I am not well enough to advocate for myself, my wife will show this to the providers when they want to, plant you in the middle of the hallway where all the traffic goes by. You've got this immunocompromised status, and that's putting you at high risk. Showing this and saying, I cannot be out here. You have to find a place for me that is not in the middle of the hallway. They respond really, really well to this. If you are hospitalized, we hang this on the door. And the thing is these kits are designed so that you can take these cards on and off. So we open it up, take this card out, hang it, and then we can put the card back in. So this card is, um, I think it's really essential for those of us who have um, treatments that, you know, might impact our immune system. And the last thing we need is yet another virus or illness as we're trying to navigate our health care. The thing that we always say about the heat kits is the point is to make it work for you. So the heat kit is going to give you your base information that you need and the resources that you need for advocating for yourself in a medical environment. And also for those that love you so that they can advocate for you in a medical environment. But this has to work for you. So when you're thinking about, where do I want to keep this? What location? Um, I have hung in when we lived in Arizona, and we had two cars. I hung this by the door so that when we would go out the door, I would grab it. If it was out of sight, it was out of mind. Now that we have one car, I just keep it in the car because that's where I, would use it. I know people, there's a person who uses this with MG, and she has it right by her refrigerator, along with a sign on her refrigerator that says, make sure for the emergency responders, make sure that you grab my heat kit so that they grab that when they go take her to the hospital if she is unable to breathe or talk or advocate for herself. Think about what supplies. This little thing here is a picture that somebody who has a heat kit sent us. And what they've done is they have put it in with all of their medications so that it's always all together. And if they're needing to grab anything and go, this is the packet that they grab and go. And actually, I thought this was interesting. They put in here, and I don't think you can see it on here, but they put a flu test and a COVID test in here as well, so that they kind of had everything they needed in one place when they needed to grab and go. Whatever you need to let it speak for you when you can't is what's important. And making this kit work for you is going to be so essential in actually making the most of it. You can learn more about it on our podcasts. We do a lot of podcasts about people's experiences with the heat kits, different experiences they've had where they've needed them and how they've utilized them. And we have our Rare Candor podcast is on Apple Podcasts and Spotify podcasts. So you can go ahead and sign up, and then you'll get those as soon as they are released and learn about how you might use them. So this is more about the how to use them based on people's experiences. And most importantly, here's where you go to order one. So if you go to heatkit.org, you will get right to our page. And in our page, you're going to see right here, it says Heat Kit. You click on that, and it's just a simple little form to fill out. We fulfill them once a week and send them out to you free of charge, of course. And it is a gift to be engaged and a gift to be supporting our rare disease community that we all are members of, even though we didn't want to be in the club. And I just want to say a special thanks to Amgen and Alexion, for supporting these heat kits. It wouldn't be possible to create these and actually mail them out to people without actually having, the support from Amgen and Alexion to create them and mail them to people. And I'll say the Myasthenia Gravis community is the #1 community of all of the diseases that we work with. In terms of ordering and sharing their stories of how they've utilized the heat kits, and it means the world to hear your stories. So again, you can just go to heatkit.org and order your heat kit. All right. That was probably a little bit fast, but that's the overview.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah. That was so insightful. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. connection here and we will get them answered by Sarah. If there's any story you'd like to share, I'm sure Sarah would like to read it, so feel free to throw it in the Q&A before we wrap up here.
Thank you so much for having me on to talk about the heat kits. We are so passionate about them. I can show you the two things I referenced that I couldn't show you. So here's the little thing that you, if you can see it, that you put your insurance card in and you put your ID card in. So you just can order an extra insurance card from your insurance company and put that right here. And what I do for my ID is I just order like, oh, I lost my ID or my license. And so order the new one, put the old one, which is not really your valid license, but it is still an ID that has your picture on it. And I put that in here. So obviously I carry my real ID with me, but if it's an emergency and I don't happen to have that right next to me, at least this does have a picture ID. And then they come with these little packets here that you can put medications in. Um, you can use them for other things, but generally they're for medications. Let's see. Oh, you don't have the blue sleeve. Okay. So you probably, one thing I will tell you about the heat kits is that we get feedback from people like you that says, hey, add this, like the notes pages. If you have an original heat kit, you don't have the notes page because that was added in by somebody actually with MG who said, I need some pages to write my own notes. And so we update them. So if you have, yes, we can definitely send you a new one. I would say just go to the website and order a new one. And that way you'll get the whole thing. And, then you can have one in the car and one at home. Um, yes, I'd be happy to be on a support group call. And is there somehow allowing people to fill the pages on a computer and cut and paste? Uh, You know what? So here's the deal. We do have a PDF, but it's not fillable. So we only mail hard copies to people in the United States. We just can't afford international, to mail it internationally. So if somebody orders this internationally, we send them a PDF. We don't have fillable pages though for these. Um, But oh, I should say this does come with a little pencil. I don't know if this helps you. It does come with a little pencil with an eraser so that you can write on it and erase it. All of the pages are able to be written on. Again, if you had an original one, it was really tricky to write on those. They were coded, so they're not anymore. Um, I think you could order a heat kit, and if there was something you wanted to type up, you could type it and just paste it to that page. For me, what I find, I think, having just come off of surgery and being in the hospital, what I find is having the heat kit, when I say confidence, I feel like I can't say that enough, and I could probably cry at this because we all feel so strongly, and I mean, we are a fierce group of people, people with a rare disease. We are fierce, and we fight for ourselves because we have to. It's exhausting, and when you're not feeling well, it's even harder. And having run a lot of nonprofits, I used to tell people I ran a nonprofit for people with Parkinson's, and I used to say, advocate for yourself, just advocate for yourself. And now that, 5 years ago when I was diagnosed, I am like, holy cow, this is hard, because it's a constant headwind of a doctor who doesn't believe you, a doctor who doesn't understand, a doctor who doesn't want to take the time. And some of them want to take the time and they just don't have the time because of the system they're working in. So, this isn't a beating up the doctors thing. It's a really complicated situation. And it's exhausting. And when you are in desperate need of care, it's really hard. And I have found that this gives me confidence And I do find that the providers take me more seriously. When I come in with something like this, it's not overwhelming like a big binder that I think can be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with that? It's also enough information that they can glance at it and, oh, I want to say this, still, they can still seem confident, right? So they don't have to look at us like, I don't know what you're talking about. They can glance at it, get the information they need without having to feel um, lesser than as well, since we all are trying that. Hmm. Oh, wow. I'm sorry you were in a car accident. I'm so glad it was helpful. Oh, oh, a pocket to your infusion page so that I can include my Ultimaris safety card. Great idea. I love that. And if you didn't get the original ones, also didn't come in this plastic packet. It's not super pretty. And we've looked into having like pretty ones printed, but then we keep coming back to no, we need one that you can literally just take a cloth and wash it off. And so it's about function as opposed to like beauty. And so if you didn't get one with one of these either, then please do order a new one. Oh, I think that's great bringing it to physical therapy. Isn't it such a gift when you like interact with a provider and they want to learn about your disease? I don't know. I still, I just saw a physical therapist and she was like, tell me about this. And I was like, you want to know? It's such a gift. And you think the next person with MG who walks in, they're going to be that much farther ahead because you took time to explain things to them. Let's see. I know the writing issue is a challenge. You know what? If you really run into trouble, send me an email. You can send it to Sarah at heatkit.org, SARAH. Send me an email and I can see what we can do. Um, I'll check in with what we can do. It may not be um, as small as this. You might have to print it on regular paper but send me an email if writing is a problem for you, because I know that that can be tricky. I
All
don't know
right,
if I
that
caught them
looks,
all.
yeah, you did. It looks like that's all we've got right now. Oh, we just had another one pop in. Feel free to keep them coming, guys. If you've got a question, Sarah's here to answer. So feel free to let us know.
Oh, how cool. I'm so glad Conquer MG mentioned it. Yay. Oh, thank you for sharing it. Yes, it is. It's priceless. We're really small baby nonprofit. So we love playing really well with others. That's why we were so excited when Allison reached out about this. Because this is really, we only do a few things, and the Heat Kit is one of our main things we do. So and we keep it pretty focused on about 4 or 5 diseases that we are focused on right now. So thank you.
Awesome. We'll give about another minute here. If you've got any burning questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A before we let Sarah go.
Oh, that's a great idea. Printed from your chart. Yeah. Because you know what? That is a nightmare writing out medications. I love that idea. And by the way, another thing that I do in my kit is that disease information page that we shared. And I don't know, I'm not sure which disease this particular kit is. So I apologize in advance. It might or might not be MG. But So if it's not, no, this is a vasculitis one, but that's okay. It'll still give you the same idea. So this page here, which this is again the vasculitis one, but um, there's the one that has the MG page with all of the information. I make copies of this and I keep a few of them in my heat kit at all times. And that way, when I go into a new facility, new doctor, new whatever, I can actually just I'll show them this to use it, but I actually can hand them one of the disease cards too. And I love that about the medication. I do that. I kind of print out the medication card too for the same thing. So thank you. My pleasure is, guys, this is an honor to be in this on this journey. We make each other stronger. Oh, good idea. The last after visit summary. See, there's such good ideas. Cool. Thank you for that idea.
Okay, I think we'll probably end here. Sarah, is there anything else that you want to share with everybody or?
No, thanks for being just so amazing. We're so inspired when we get these orders and or people write us notes about how they're using it or how it worked. It's so inspiring, and we share those with the sponsors who make these possible. And I know that we tell them that they're making a difference because like I said, we couldn't do it without their funding. Just like all of us require that kind of, some kind of assistance and support to be able to provide the resources that we provide. And um, so it's just wonderful I'm inspired by all of you. I'm grateful for all of you. And I'm so grateful, Haley and Catherine, for having me on today. So thank you. What an awesome organization.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah, for this educational presentation. I know that we all really appreciated it. Um, to all who attended tonight, we appreciate you joining us as well, and we hope to see you on our next virtual monthly meetup. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Sounds great. Thanks. Bye-bye.